Joining us now is congressional candidate for Oregon's 1st District, Amanda Seaby. Welcome to the Damage Report.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Very glad to have you on, and there's a number of topics that we'd like to cover with you, including your platform and your opponents in this race. But we did notice one thing on your website that we found interesting. It says that if elected, you would like to join the squad as the only disabled woman in the US House and a voice for the disability rights and injured workers. Can you tell us a little bit about that, about what disability would bring and why the representation in elected office would be important?
Of course, 1 in 5 voters across the nation and 1 in 4 here in Oregon are living with some form of disability. Yet we've been left out of the conversation for way too long. I mean, if you look at the ADA hasn't really been updated since 1994, and a majority of our country is still inaccessible to those with disabilities. I mean, we need to do better to upgrade our society, include people, and make sure that everybody has a voice and representation.
So if elected, what are some of the changes perhaps in updating the ADA that you would like to institute?
I mean, we need to go to a stair-free society. A majority of homes have at least one stair going up to them, and it makes it incredibly challenging when you go over as a disabled person to a friend's house and you can't get in. You're isolated and you can't get around. And I mean, when somebody has a home, they buy a home, and then they become disabled, then they're either forced to spend massive money on upgrades or they have to sell their home and move. We have to do better as a society. There are still trains, stores, streets, sidewalks that are completely inaccessible. We look around and we don't see disabled people around, but it's not because we don't exist. It's because we live in an inaccessible world.
Yeah, and I think that there's likely quite a bit of overall, like, specific ignorance, but also overall ignorance as to how disability can shape a person's life. Why that diversity in elected office would matter. I mean, so in our research, we saw that you were diagnosed in 2012 with Reflex Sympathetic Dystrophy, and I have to admit, I'm actually not familiar with that condition, but I know that it has helped to shape your politics since your diagnosis. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, most people actually aren't, even though it's more common than breast cancer, you know? We just have no idea what reflex sympathetic dystrophy, also known as complex regional pain syndrome, is a nerve disorder where the nerves in my body, they break down due to inflammation, and as they do, they release the most intense pain signals that they can muster. So there's this 0 to 50 scale where you rank pain. It's called the McGill pain scale. And like a 17 is a toothache, and 32 is childbirth, and 41 is cutting off part of your body without anesthesia, and CRPS or RSD is 42. It tops out the scale. And yet we have patients that are living like with that type of pain that are at risk of losing opiate pain management because our government is taking an extreme reaction to the problem we're having with heroin and illicit fentanyl overdoses.
Oh, I can't even imagine what it must be like. Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.